Hello, this is Diane Dalton. I'm going to show you a short video on how to debug GUI applications using Visual Studio. I'm going to use as an example out of Chapter 4, the exercise 7b about lawn mowing. So this program asks for you to make a decision based on the size of the lawn. And if your lawn is small, then the price is going to be $25 per week. If it's a medium-sized lawn, defined as between 400 and 600, the price should be $35. If the lawn is larger than 600 square feet, then the price will be $50. Right, so you're going to have to write a program that will accept as inputs the length and width of the lawn and then figure out the price per week. So those are the requirements of this program. And we're going to do this in a graphical user interface, so the Windows Forms application type. And I already have the program written and it works. And what I'm going to show you is how you can have a program with no syntax errors, but the logic doesn't work. When you start using if-else statements, you can sometimes put them together incorrectly and not get what you expect as your outcome. So that's what I have here, is a program with a known error. We're going to find out why we can't calculate the right price for mowing. I've already written this code, and it's form1.cs. It's the lawn GUI application. And what I have here, this is the method that's going to execute when I click on the calculate button. And here's a bunch of constants that I've defined, and these are based on the requirements of the program to compare to 400 square feet, compare to 600 square feet, set some of the prices. Okay. Then I have a bunch of variable declarations. These are things that I'm going to read in or calculate. And it's good practice to use comments to separate your code into different code segments. And so this next group of code is going to read my numbers from the graphical user interface, and then it will calculate area equals length times width. All right. Then I put in the logic to determine the fee based on the lawn size. Anyway, it should be, we're going to test between areas less than minimum size, and then I'm going to check between areas greater than the minimum and less than the medium size. And otherwise I'm going to go in and assume that it will be the high fee. And then the last part is just creating a lot of string outputs to give me the results. Okay, so that's how the program is set up. Let's run it. I'm going to use the F5 shortcut key. And let's do a large size first. And if I have a large lawn, 50 by 50, and I've taken out the calculation for the fee base. That's another part of this program. I only need one segment of code to demonstrate what I'm doing, so I'm just kind of overlooking that part for now. But we're still going to read the number in. Now I'm going to go calculate, and here's the results. For a 50 by 50 lawn, the total square feet is 2,500 square feet, so that means it's a large lawn, and my weekly fee will be $50. And then so for the 20-week season, it's going to be $1,000 total. All right, let me take a small lawn. What if I have a 15 by 20? That's going to come up to 300 square feet. Let's calculate that. 15 by 20, yes, the total area is 300 square feet. The weekly fee is going to be $25, and before any service charge, it's going to be $500 for the whole season. All right, now let's put in a medium size. So I'm going to go 25 by 20. Let me calculate. Yep, 25 by 20. Total area is 500 square feet. The weekly fee is going to be, wait a minute, that's not right. That should be my medium size. Why isn't it coming out right? Now this is what can happen. There's no errors when I'm running or when I'm executing, but I'm not getting the right answer. This is why software programmers have to test their code, because sometimes you get the logic wrong and it doesn't give you the right answer that you expect. All right, so I'm going to close out my Form 1, and we're going to go back and look at the program. And what I want to show you is some tricks for debugging. Okay, I'm going to go back up to the beginning of my code. So in my method, calc button, click, I've got a bunch of constants. These are my declarations, my variables. And what I'm going to do is I want to be able to see what's happening as each of these lines executes. I'm going to do something. I'm going to go to this left margin. I'm going to click once. And what I've done is I've just set a breakpoint. Think of this like a stop sign. So when the program is executing, it's going to stop right there, and then it's going to wait for me to do something to proceed. All right, so now I'm going to run the program again, and it's still going to ask me for length and width. So let's go ahead and put in that 25 by 20 case again, mowing or paying 20 times, and let's calculate. Okay, so far I haven't hit that breakpoint, but I'm going to calculate. Now my code has reached that line of code, and it stopped. And the highlight in yellow indicates that's the next line that will execute. Okay, this is one of the debugging tools. You can go to Debug, and you can step into or step over. Stepping into means if you have a method that you're about to calculate, it will actually step into and go through all the steps of that method. If you're stepping over, you'll execute the whole method and just give the results back. So that's the difference between stepping into and stepping over. If you're just executing a single line of code that's not a method, stepping into behaves just the same as step over. Right, so I'm going to use the F11 shortcut key for a lot of these steps. So what I just did was I stepped. Now my next line of code is the width equals convert to. Now what I can do using my pointer, I can hover over different parts and it will tell me what the variable is. So when I hover over text, it shows me that lengthbox.text, the value is 25. And I can go look over my length variable. The length variable is 25. Now if I look at the width variable, it's still 0 because I have not executed this line of code yet. Let me do that with the F11 key. Okay, now I have executed that line, and now width is 20. Right, so the next line is going to read in from this text box, convert it to num payments. Pressing the F11, and now num payments has 20. Now the next line of code is going to calculate the area. So I have my length, 25 times width, 20. I'm going to calculate it. When I press F11, I get area is 500. Right, now we get into the logic part. This is where I have it all divided up. So I think that I'm going to get this area because this is where it meets, right? 500, it's going to be greater than the minimum size and less than the medium size. So why do I not get the medium fee? So I'm going to do my step, F11. I'm not less than the minimum size. The area is 500, so it's not less than the minimum size. So I jump out of this. I go past this code block because that's what I would have executed if that were true. And I jump down here. Well, but how do I get to here? Okay, that is the logic error in this program. I'm not getting to this check because if I'm greater than minimum size, I will never get to this line of code. Right, so I've just found where my error was by using these breakpoints, by stepping through very carefully. So let's go through and figure out how we should fix this logic. So the problem is when I did this test, the if area less than minimum size, for a small case I would get this code block, I would execute this, but I'm never getting to this for the medium size. What I need to do is separate this into that code block. Okay, so that's going to be the code block for if it's true, if it's a small lawn. And then I need to do an else if, and what I'm going to execute in this code block, I've got an extra blank line there. So then I'm going to do this test, else if area is between minimum size and medium size. Then I'm going to set my fee to medium fee. Else, if neither of those cases is true, then I'll go through to the fee high. All right, so let's do this one more time. Hit F5 to run the program. I've got my medium case set up already. I'm going to hit calculate. So I'm just going to hit F11 several times. Okay, so we've got our area calculated, and it's 500. So we're going to do this test. I'm going to scroll down a bit. And the first test will be false. So now I go to the false case and it says else, do another test. Now I'm going to say if area is greater than the minimum size and less than the medium size. that should be true. And I do, and I go and I set the medium fee. I won't execute this other else because that was if it was a false. And then I go through. Now, because I'm pretty sure I've fixed my logic area and I don't need to step through each of these output things, I can just hit the continue, which is the green arrow, or F5. So I'm going to continue, and it goes right on to preparing my output, and this time I do get the weekly fee of $35. So that showed you how to use breakpoints to debug your logic by stepping through it line by line. Sometimes you're going to have to do this to find out what's going on.